Okay, so energy, frequency, vibration, 369. I've puzzled two, Geezer, over this, that frequency is merely a measure of vibration. And it seems merely is. It's a less important. It's free. If it's energy and vibration, that's fine. Then you need measurements of them. So I've puzzled two. And I think I've got an answer. And you're right. So it's Planck scale. But to me, I always think of just Planck, these durations. So the H is a duration. It's a joule and a second. You can split them out to look at them to analyze this. And that the second is giving you the duration inside which action occurs at a different time than measured from real time. It's called simultaneous time, where actions appear from large scale to be simultaneous. But if you can place yourself inside that duration, you'll see that they're causal. Causality is restored. It all makes perfect sense. So it's called simultaneous time. It's a theory I had a couple of years ago. Now, you can imagine that imagine a dimension between space and time. There's a line between them. And you've got the meter, space, second, time. Try and look at the line. Take a magnifying glass, look at the line. You'll always find a line. You can't look at time, you can't look at space. You try and look, magnify anywhere, you'll find this line, a division between the meter and the second. And so there's a relationship between the two. Relativity, they're relative. One is relative to the other in terms of energy. And the energy is in the second. Yeah? And so the meter, the distance you move, is relative to the energy of the second. And you can see it working at these Planck scales, as you call them, but within the duration of a moment. If you want to analyze the line, you've got to be the line. So take the magnifying glass and look at the line somewhere, knowing you're looking at that tiny duration. Place yourself on the line and now look at it, and you'll see that it has a shape. It's split. So the second has become, there's a line, it goes like that. It splits into a triangle, pushing up into space and pushing down into time. And inside the x-axis has now become a new unit, a meter second. So that's the measurement of time, the distance time within these durations is a meter second, simultaneous time. And you'll see that the split has now become second squared. So you've got you're beginning to build a three-dimension. You have one dimension, you've got two dimensions, you're suddenly building a third dimension because you've got the square on the second. And then you'll see that the straight line that you've created, that's the one. That's one has been created. And then boom, you're into the mathematics that Paul talks about, the Collatz conjecture. That's why they hide it, because it describes this engineering kind of dimensional analysis mechanism. And so frequency is a meter second. And it's vital that you understand that there's the measurement. It's not a second, it's a meter second now against the second squared. That it makes sense. And now the vibration sits inside the triangle. Can you see it? It vibrates, it gets bigger. It does one, imagine just one cycle. The resultant of all forces is one cycle, down, up, down. The second motion was bigger than the first. So the return from time into space in each moment at the beginning is greater. At the point then it reaches the center and goes back, something now happens within the moment, which is there's an equal and opposite reaction. And that's where the momentum of behavior of species comes in, where you need to add that momentum on that downstroke. As you come out of space where we exist, back into time again for the final power stroke, you've got to push by behaving excellently. And by doing so, you've balanced the forces. So when you get to the end, the next moment, everything is set sweetly on a 2 pi ratio. That's what this is all about. And the 1/137 arc seconds is exactly there, because you're now describing the meter 4. It's a double bending moment of light at the center of a beam of light, where we live, where our energy lives, where we experience everything from. And it's just, here's one bend, and here's another bend, two enormous circles, and inside that 137 arcsecond chord division is where our energy exists and where we measure and observe everything from. And immediately you come out of that space, there's a parallax error, so you see everything as a sphere, because it's really all hemispheres. That's why gravity works. It's throwing us to the outside, but it all looks like spheres because of this parallax error. And that the shape of the universe that we see is our shadow in the past. That tube that they show it as, it's just our shadow now, because you can see that we're always measuring from energy and observing the action of protein, matter. That's where I think we are. Truly, that the gathering now has come together. We just ignore physics. They're morons, cretins. They're choosing to be cretins over the meter standard change in 1983, and choosing not to see that by linking the meter standard to the speed of light, they have masked that the speed of light is variable and that you can't measure the radiation in the atmosphere because of that change. Okay? So, it's fucking brilliant at last. Come on, world. Just catch up with the pirates. Love rules. Do the work. Choose.